We're continuing on speaking about lifestyle, the good life, how to live a good life. You know, Yah has a lifestyle, you know, and it's entailed in scripture as well as within nature. He has principles in place that speak to these things. Most sheep will live unnatural lifestyles, you know, which are dictated by their jobs, responsibilities, and needs rather than around Yah's laws of nature that govern our bodies. You know, laws such as the aforementioned circadian rhythms, which are the laws of nature that govern our bodies on a daily basis. They teach us when we ought to rise up, when we ought to sleep, eat, digest, and assimilate, as well as when we should or shouldn't eat or drink and rest. When we do right by these laws, our bodies will be blessed. And when we sin against them, our bodies will be cursed. And as with any other law, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You know, it will have an effect whether you know about it or you don't know about it. That said, lifestyle is essential to good health. Its recovery as well as its maintenance. It's a must that we live a lifestyle that's conducive to good health. That said, Yah's natural laws mentioned in Scripture, yet they're not explicitly written within Scripture. But they're still His laws, all the same, and they must be followed. And this is a concept that I want to get across, that I've been trying to get across throughout this whole series. For example, Yah has an unwritten law of nature that states we must live on land and not underwater. Even though there is plenty of oxygen within the water, it's against the laws of nature that govern our bodies to properly utilize it, just as it's against the laws of nature for most marine life to utilize the oxygen from the air. Sheeple, we cannot seriously expect to become well while living in sin. We must repent and turn from our wicked ways that contradict Yah's laws, both those which are found in Scripture as well as those that are found in nature. You know, we talked about the various different types of sin, you know, that we embark upon that causes us to become ill and to remain ill. Now, we do well to understand that we don't contrive the majority of our energy from the foods that we eat. And this may be a shocking statement to many of you, but it's true. Just think about it for a minute. If we get the majority of our energy from foods, then how could those saints such as Eliyahu, Moshe, Yahushua, and even myself and others go 40 days without food? That would be an impossibility. It would be an impossibility unless we're getting energy from a source other than food. Say it loud. Think about it. The fact of the matter is that we get very little of the type of energy our bodies run on from the foods that we eat. Only about 5%. We get another 15% from our energy comes from water consumption. That's why I'm always on your head about drinking your water. Hint, hint. 24% comes from rest. And a whopping 56% of our energy comes from the air we breathe. Wow. Now think about that. You know, those who sit in a cubicle all day and don't get any fresh air, have the same stale air circulating through the building. You know, that can and does affect your health. Now, as crazy as it may sound, if you just consider that one, as crazy as that may sound, if you just consider that one can go 40 days without food of any kind, from 5 to 7 days without water, from 5 to 7 days without rest, how many days can one go without air? None. Zero. Matter of fact, you know, even as much as 5 minutes will cause severe brain damage. You know, in most people. Now, you have some aqua men out there, but, you know, in most people. Now, with this in mind, it should now be apparent that The most imperative aspect of our life, the energy that we run on day in and day out, is the air we breathe. But not only due to its oxygen content, but also the many nutrients it carries as well. How many of you was aware that there's actually nutrients in the air that we breathe? You know, we're just like walking trees. You know, who's going around and feeding the trees? Yeah, they get some nutrients from the soil, but most of it comes from the air. You know, in the form of carbon dioxide. You know, that said, this is an area where most people can improve upon. For most of us, don't get enough of it to be healthy due to being shallow breathers. Now again, we're going to talk about breathing. Breathing amounts to 56% of your energy. So I think it's pretty important to understand a little bit about breathing. Shallow breathing is also called chest or thoracic breathing. And it's the drawing of minimal air into the lungs. It speaks to breathing via one's chest rather than the diaphragm. Most people are shallow breathers, and most are also unaware that they are shallow breathers. I know most of you think, well, I breathe normal. Breathe like anyone else. Well, most of us are actually shallow breathers. We don't actually breathe via our diaphragm. We're chest breathers. Now, this is likely due to them being shallow breathers all their lives. You know, the reason that we don't notice it is because we've been breathing this way all our lives. And the reason being is that it's common practice for doctors to clamp, cut, and tie the umbilical cord immediately after birth. But doing so cuts off the oxygen to the infant, thereby causing it to gasp for breath instead of calmly taking its first breaths. See, if it was allowed to calmly take those first breaths, then it would take those first breaths and it would breathe deeply into the diaphragm and then exhale. You know, but when they clamp, cut, and tie off the umbilical cord immediately after birth, you know, it causes the infant to gasp for breath, which oftentimes set the precedence for breathing from then on. You know, now, one can retrain themselves to be diaphragmatic breathers or deep breathers. You know, the way this thing works is, you know, you have exhalation and inhalation, of course. You know, now, when you inhale the air, it's supposed to come in, and it goes down, and you see how this little archway is there? That's your diaphragm. You know, and when you breathe in deeply, you know, it's supposed to expand this way, downwards. You know, so that you can take in, you can fill it, that whole environment up with fresh air. Prayerfully, it's fresh air. You know, y'all willing. You know, and when you exhale, it goes the opposite way. You know, the diaphragm pushes up to help push the air out. You know, so most people, they're just breathing right up in here, just up in the chest. They're not taking in enough air to completely fill the diaphragm. And that's what's meant by shallow breathing. Now, shallow breathing in and of itself can cause anxiety disorder, asthma, panic attacks, pulmonary edema, and even pneumonia. Having said that, shallow breathing can be rectified by simply doing breathing exercises on a daily basis. Now, this is essential for anyone trying to recover from sickness or disease, as well as for anyone trying to maintain good health. You know, it's a very simple thing that folks can do. One breathing exercise that I recommend is that one breathe in for a count of 10, as one simultaneously raises their arms, hold their breath in arms for a count of 30, and exhale while bringing your arms down for a count of 20. All right, now, do this breathing exercise 5 times upon rising, 5 times before retiring, and 5 times before each meal. You know, now this is daily as a minimum. Now, you know, for those of you who are gung-ho, you can do it more often throughout the day if you like. You know, won't do anything but help you, you know, and you'll be taking leaps and bounds towards good health. Now I'm gonna, I have to give an admonition with this too. When you first start doing this, you may notice that you get a little lightheaded or a little dizzy, and that's due to the excess oxygen, the extra oxygen entering into your bloodstream. And everyone isn't used to having that extra oxygen in their bloodstream, and as a result, it will make them feel, lightheaded or dizzy, or maybe even a little nauseous. You'll notice the same thing, like if you ever take some wheatgrass juice, and you take a little too much, because the wheatgrass juice is very high in oxygen, it'll cause you to get lightheaded or a little wheezy, for the same reason, because of the extra oxygen. But as you continue to do it, your lungs will expand, your body will get used to taking in the extra oxygen, and it'll be great. It'll be great for your health. Now, the benefits of such deep breathing are many. This is one of the best things that you can do towards good health, and it doesn't cost you a penny. Absolutely free. Last time I checked, air is still free. They may be starting to charge for it in some places. Now we are, I know we laughing, but they used to laugh about the very same thing when it came to water. Now everybody paying for water.
Yeah.
Amen. And then we was already paying for water when it was coming in the house. Now we paying for extra water outside of the water that come in the house. Right? So I don't know if they can figure out a way to tax it. You may be having to pay for your breathing. But we're gonna pray that don't take place. But as I was saying, the benefits of deep breathing are many. So don't take it for granted. Don't take for granted this wonderful gift that Yah has blessed us with. And by no means should you underestimate his power, for his benefits can be astounding. Just how astounding? I'll let you be the judge as we consider some of the many benefits that you can expect when you make deep breathing a part of your lifestyle. Let's see. Deep breathing detoxifies and releases toxins. Your lungs are one of the body's 4 channels of elimination and are designed to release toxins through breathing. The other 3 channels of elimination is your bowels, your kidneys, and your skin, in case you're wondering. Now, if you are not breathing effectively, you are not properly ridding your body of its toxins, thereby putting undue stress on the other elimination channels to work overtime, which could eventually lead to illness. And this works the other way as well. When your kidneys aren't doing, not working up the power, not pulling this full load, then the excess of that load will go to the other elimination channels. It may tax your breathing, it may tax your lungs, or it may tax your bowels, or it may tax your skin. And this is why folks have outbreaks on their skin. Your body is trying to release some toxins because most likely the other channels, there's something going wrong with one of the other channels, or a combination of the channels. Something's not right. Okay, so it uses some of the emergency channels. And they will help each other out. And usually when they help each other out, you don't feel great about it. Okay? So when you exhale air from your body, you release carbon dioxide that has been passed through your bloodstream into your lungs. Carbon dioxide is a natural waste product of your body. But Yah is so awesome. He created this wonderful relationship with us and the plants. We exhale carbon dioxide as a waste product, and they breathe in carbon dioxide. But they exhale oxygen. And we breathe in the oxygen. So the oxygen is great for us, and the carbon dioxide that we exhale is great for the plants. So it's always good to have plants in your homes. Especially if you don't open the windows very much. So it helps to purify the air.
Yes.
Now, deep breathing relaxes the mind and brings clarity. Proper oxygenation of the brain reduces excessive anxiety levels. During an anxiety attack or a panic attack, do a set of 5 of the aforementioned breathing exercises. Now, take note that any of these any places that are tight, and try to concentrate on the place where it's tight at, you know. And as you breathe and as you do the breathing exercises, and this will help your body to relax. And you'll also find that the deep breathing will bring clarity and insights to you as well. It's very, very relaxing. Deep breathing helps to relieve pain. For example, what happens to your breathing when you anticipate pain? If you're like most, you probably hold your breath. Yet studies show that breathing into your pain helps to ease it. Remember that next time you slam your toe in the door or something, you know. Most people do not realize it, but deep breathing has a connection to how you think, feel, and experience life. You know, think life sucks? Try deep breathing. You may think differently of it. Deep breathing massages your organs. The movements of the diaphragm during deep breathing exercises actually work to massage the stomach, the small intestine, the liver, and the pancreas. How about that? Can't get on the treadmill? Do some deep breathing. The upper movement of the diaphragm also massages the heart. When you inhale air, your diaphragm descends and your abdomen will expand. By this action, you massage vital organs and improve circulation in them. Controlled breathing also strengthens and tones your abdominal muscles. You know, you can do stomach exercises without even doing a sit-up. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to get a six-pack that way. I'm just saying it will help to exercise it. All right, deep breathing increases muscle. Breathing is the oxygenation process to all of the cells in your body. And with the extra supply of oxygen to the brain, this can in turn cause an increase in muscle tissue within your body. So those of you all who want to be bodybuilders or what have you, you know, add some deep breathing into your regimen. Or if you just want to, you know, buff up, you know, don't have time to work out. I'm not going to say you're going to come out looking like you Lou Ferrigno or anyone, but it'll help. Deep breathing strengthens the immune system. Oxygen travels through your bloodstream by attaching to the hemoglobin within your red blood cells. This in turn enriches your body's metabolizing of nutrients and vitamins, thereby strengthening your immune system. Deep breathing improves posture. You know, good breathing techniques over a sustained period of time will encourage good posture. Bad body posture can result from incorrect breathing, so this is an important step in correcting your posture. Many people with bad posture will experience the benefits of deep breathing right away. You know, so if you're one of those folks that walk around like this, you know, woe is me. You know, deep breathing, you know, will greatly aid in that.
Yes.
Deep breathing improves quality of the blood. Deep breathing removes all the carbon dioxide and thereby increases oxygen in the blood and thus increase blood quality. That's great to know, for the life is in the blood. Amen?
Amen.
Deep breathing increases digestion and assimilation of food. See, and this is a great thing because most people have digestive issues, whether they know it or not. Most people have digestive issues, you know, and deep breathing will actually help with the digestion and assimilation of food. So it's very good to do the breathing exercises before you eat. The digestive organs, such as the stomach, receive more oxygen and hence operate more efficiently. The digestion is further enhanced by the fact that the food is oxygenated more as well. Deep breathing improves the body's entire nervous system. The brain, spinal cord, and nerves receive increased oxygenation and are more nourished. This improves the health of the whole body since the nervous system communicates with all parts of the body. Deep breathing strengthens the lungs. As you breathe deeply, the lungs become healthy and powerful, which is a good assurance against respiratory problems. Proper breathing makes the heart stronger. Breathing exercises reduce the workload on the heart in two ways. Firstly, deep breathing leads to more efficient lungs, which means more oxygen is brought into contact with the blood sent to the lungs by the heart. So the heart doesn't have to work as hard to deliver the oxygen to the tissues. Secondly, deep breathing leads to a greater pressure differential in the lungs, which leads to an increase in the circulation, thus resting the heart a little. So having trouble with the heart, deep breathing. That's one of the things that'll really help. Another thing is asparagus. Yeah, asparagus is really good for the heart, because it contains arsenic. Yeah, and I know arsenic's a poison, but the heart needs some arsenic, But don't go and take no arsenic pill. When God puts the arsenic in the fruits and vegetables, he puts it in balance.
Yes.
And see, the way that we're supposed to get these things is the plants, they digest them, and then we digest the plants. Now, don't try to cut out the middleman in this case. Cutting out the middleman in this case will get you in trouble. Deep breathing assists in weight control. Hello. If you're overweight, the extra oxygen burns up the excess fat more efficiently. If you're underweight, the extra oxygen feeds the starving tissues and glands. So it helps in both ways. Deep breathing boosts energy levels and improves stamina. As aforementioned, 56% of your energy comes from the air you breathe. Therefore, it only makes sense if you increase your air intake, you also increase your energy and stamina. And so it is. One way your body does this is via its cells. Most cells in your body have what is called mitochondria, which is what I like to refer to as its very own power plant. But this is where your body utilizes the oxygen you breathe in to convert the foods that you ate into energy. So feeling a little sluggish? Deep breathing. I know deep breathing is starting to sound like a panacea, huh? It is not a panacea. Deep breathing improves circulation of blood and lymph. It increases oxygen to the heart and lungs, which in turn increases blood flow throughout the body, which works to clear obstructions, especially to the head and eyes. So eyes giving you a little trouble? Deep breathing. It'll help. Okay. We're done with the breathing. Now we're going to move on to rest. Rest is oftentimes, taken for granted. Taken for granted, overlooked, pushed to the side, swept under the rug. But we ought not to do that because proper rest amounts to 24% of our energy. It's not just how much rest you're getting, but it's also when you're resting that helps determine how much you'll benefit from your rest. Many people believe that sleep is just sleep, and that it doesn't really matter when you sleep, just as long as you rest, and this couldn't be further from the truth. Everyone has an internal clock that governs their sleep-wake cycle that God has placed within them. This internal clock, otherwise known as your circadian rhythm, is regulated by processes within the body's cells as well as the brain itself that correspond to the changes betwixt the magnetic pulls and the sun, earth, and moon in conjunction with how long you've been awake and how much energy you've expended throughout the day. So they all play a part. Now at night, your body responds to the dominant North Pole magnetic pull of the earth and moon, which in turn pulls on your cells, causing them to close all their proverbial doors and windows. I like to picture it as each cell as a little house, and okay, it's nighttime, and and the action goes into place to close all the windows and doors. What's really happening is they're becoming less permeable, which in turn minimizes the energy made within the cells, because as soon as the cells receive oxygen, it goes to making energy out of it. So when it's time for you to go to sleep, your body produces melatonin, which in turn starts the cells to close these little windows and doors, start making the cell walls less permeable, so that the oxygen can't get in. Also the brain is triggered. Well, I just said that, so that's what melatonin does. It triggers the melatonin production, which is a hormone that ultimately makes you feel sleepy. Okay? During the day, the dominant south pole magnetic pull of the sunlight triggers the brain to inhibit the production of melatonin, as well as to cause your cells to again become more permeable, therefore allowing more energy production so you feel awake and alert and ready to tackle the day's task. You know, so imagine those doors and windows, now the sun rising. As the sun rising, those doors and windows of those cells, they're opening up. They're allowing oxygen to come in. The little mitochondria, i.e. the power station, you know, starts going into work and start creating energy. You know, and that's what makes you want to get up. Okay? You know, and, you know, I can't sleep no more, you know. And you get up and you want to go do something, hopefully. The circadian rhythm, that is the internal clock, can be disrupted by factors such as working nights. You know, that's why they call it the graveyard shift, because it will send you to the graveyard. Traveling across time zones or irregular sleep patterns, and can leave you feeling groggy, disoriented, and sleepy during times you normally feel energized. The production of melatonin can also be thrown off when you're deprived of sunlight during the day or by overexposure to too much artificial light at night, especially the light from electronic devices, including TVs, computers, mobile phones, yeah, and tablets. Hence, one shouldn't utilize electronics for at least a couple hours prior to resting. Sleep has several stages, but there are two of them which are essential. And the most important of these two is deep sleep. Now, deep sleep is a time when the body repairs itself and rebuilds energy for the coming day. It plays a major role in maintaining your health, stimulating growth and development, repairing muscles and tissues, and boosting your immune system. Keep catching colds all the time, get some sleep, and do some deep breathing. Factors that can lead to poor or inadequate deep sleep include working the graveyard shift, also working swing shifts, and smoking and drinking during the night. For alcohol and nicotine is known to disrupt deep sleep. That is the most essential part of the sleep that most people are missing. Hence, you need it to be in the bed by 10 in the winter and 11 during the summer months. You know, when you're not in the bed during these times, you're missing out on your deep sleep. And once deep sleep is gone for the night, it's gone. Can't get it back. Then you go into REM. REM is the second most important stage of sleep, I should say. You know, and REM stands for rapid eye movements. You know, and it's the second most important stage of sleep. Just as deep sleep renews the body, REM sleep renews the mind by playing a key role in learning and memory. Having memory issues? Maybe you need some more sleep. You need some more REMs. During REM sleep, your brain consolidates and processes the information you've learned during the day. It also works to form neural connections that strengthen memory and replenishes its supply of neurotransmitters, including feel-good chemicals like serotonin and dopamine that boost your mood during the day. You know, that person at work that's always happy-go-lucky, you know, they're probably getting plenty of sleep. You know, they're getting plenty of REM. To get more mind and mood boosting REM sleep, try sleeping an extra 30 minutes to an hour in the morning, during which time REM sleep stages are longer. Improving your overall sleep will also increase your REM sleep. If you aren't getting enough deep sleep, your body will try to make that up first at the expense of REM sleep, thereby leaving your mind in a weakened condition and making one more prone to mood swings. Say it loud. You know, some people that are cranky. Believe it or not, there's a such thing called a sleep debt. We talked about this before. It's the difference betwixt the amount of sleep you need and the hours you actually get each night. Every time you lose sleep, you add to the debt. Eventually, this debt will have to be repaid. It won't go away on its own. If you lose an hour of sleep, you must make up that extra hour somewhere down the line in order to bring your sleep account back into balance. If not, it will lead to sickness and disease within the body. Many folks try to pay their sleep debt on the weekends. And and this does help, but it's not sufficient to pay off large sleep debts that's accrued over the week, month, or year. You know, you don't think you're going to be sleeping inadequately all year long. You're going to make up for it in the weekend. The best way to pay it off is to reestablish a healthy lifestyle, which includes one consistently getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep nightly. A good practice is to get into bed on time and to sleep until you naturally awaken. Now, if that's 4 in the morning, go back to sleep. And for those of you who are having trouble sleeping, make sure that you stay away from bad eating habits, especially the eating of stimulants such as sugars, coffees, teas, and salts during the evenings. See, because these are stimulants. Make sure the room is darkened and cease using any electronic devices at least a couple hours before bed. For those who are really sick or diseased, sometimes it's necessary to take a restcation. Yes, I made that word up. Restcation is similar to a vacation, except you go somewhere where you can't be bothered for a couple weeks to a month, that you might reestablish a healthy lifestyle without any outside hindrances. And by the way, Obadiah's definition of rest is doing nothing. And I think I need to define nothing.
Yes.
Nothing does not include TV. It does not include radio. It does not include the computer. It does not include anything. Nothing means nothing. You lay there and you look at the walls. You drink your water, you go to the bathroom, you know, you get back in bed, and you do nothing. Don't think about work, don't think about the kids, don't think about nothing. You know, this is, some people, they have to do this in order to get well. Because their sleep debt is so severe that there's no way to recover from it without doing something radical such as this. You know, and I know that it sounds radical, you know, but you'll find yourself after watching the paint dry for so long that you'll just fall asleep. You know? And that's the whole point. It's a restcation, not a vacation. You know, so, you know, don't go people watching, you know. You just stay in the room and you sleep. When you can't sleep no more, you just lay there until you can sleep some more. You know, oh, no books either.
No book.
No. Nothing. Nothing means nothing. You know, you're getting a total rest. See, because books can stimulate you too much. You know, you got you a good novel going and you a boring book. What are you talking about the word? Stop it. No, I'm just kidding. You know, yeah, read the word. That's a good one.
Read the word.
That's the only book that's allowed on the restcation. And the rest, we're going to leave out.
How many days you need for the restcation? Yeah.
Well, it depends on the individual. You know, like I say, some people can get by with a week. Some people need a couple weeks. Some people need a month. You know, it depends on the individual. Why? Because everyone is different. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different. All right. Now we're going to talk about water.
Amen.
Water makes up 15% of your energy. Water is essential to good health. For every cell within your body depends on water to distribute nutrients in the forms of vitamins, minerals, and glucose. Water also plays an important role as a lubricant for our joints and as a shock absorber for our eyes, brain, and spinal cord. Water is necessary for all chemical and metabolic reactions within the body, which literally billions take place daily, such as the removal of waste products, that is toxins, that the cells and organs reject via urine and feces. Water helps to regulate body temperature, for water has a large heat capacity and thereby helps to regulate body temperature in warm climates via sweating, and in cold climates by working to keep our blood away from our body surface where it's most cold, and thereby conserving our heat. So it helps to regulate the body temperature. Water is not only essential for good health, it's essential for life itself. This is clear to see when you consider that without water, you can die within 3 to 5 days. That's not a very long time. Water makes up 2/3 of your body weight. The brain is 95% water. And you wonder why you can't get your thoughts together. The lungs are 90% water. And you wonder why when you go up that flight of steps, you pooped out. And the blood is 82% water. Maybe now you can see why that as little as a 2% drop in water supply can trigger symptoms of dehydration, such as fuzzy short-term memory, difficulty focusing on small print, and even daytime fatigue at times can be attributed to dehydration. All water is not created equal, and it does make a difference what kind of water one drinks. Many aren't even aware of all the different waters that exist today. There's mineral water, spring water, tap water, all which are hard waters. Then there's what's called soft waters, which are not to be confused with softened water. Soft water is simply water that is softer than hard water. But neither of them are clear of impurities, and that's what we want to get to. There's also deionized water, which simply exchanges the hard water ions for softer ones. Therefore, it's not really any different than before. Per se, there's also filtered water, which filters some particles but not others. Then there's RO water, which stands for reverse osmosis water, which is probably the second best water to drink, being approximately 95 to 97% pure. This level of purity is obtained by using a semi-permeable membrane, which actually works to strain the water from its impurities. And then there's steam distilled water, which has been first turned into steam, thereby leaving all impurities behind, then via condensation turned back into water, making for 100% purity. And that is the best water that you can drink. Steam distilled water is the purest form of water, and it's the type of water that Yah has made for us to drink. Hence we see in Job 36, 26 through 28, it says, "Behold, Elohim is great, and we know him not, neither can the number of his years be searched out. For he maketh small the drops of water, they pour down rain according to the vapor thereof, which the clouds do drop and distill upon man abundantly." Rainwater that has been naturally steam distilled by Yah. Rainwater has been naturally steam distilled by Yah. That's what rainwater is. Even the well waters at one point or another was derived from rainwater. But due to today's air pollution from modern day industry and transportation, and transportation, our cars, they emit, toxins that really pollute the air. All those white things floating up in the sky, they're not all clouds.
No.
A lot of them are pollution. Some of them are chemtrails, and other of them are in fact clouds. There are some clouds up there, But this is how Yah distills the water. Now, the air pollution is commonly found, in and near major cities, hence it causes the rain when it comes down to become repolluted before it even reaches the ground. So after Yah done cleansed it, here it is. It gets dirty, filthy again before it even hits the ground, thereby rendering it unsafe to drink. So if you're going to capture rainwater, then you need to just redistill it, if you would, redistill it or filter it. Steam distilled water is an empty water. Therefore, it has plenty of room to pick up particulates such as excess minerals and carry them out of the body via the urine. Now, it is due to the excess minerals in one form or another that most obstructions occur within the body. Let it be duly noted that one cannot become completely well as long as these obstructions exist within the body. Therefore, it is imperative that one drinks steam distilled water for energy, chemical processes, and also to remove any and all obstructions. You know, we're talking about minerals. Minerals are salts. Salts are minerals. Salts, minerals are metals. So they are all kind of synonymous terms. Salts, minerals, and metals. You know, salts are essentially metals. You know, and what happens is everything that we eat breaks down into a type of salt or mineral. You know, so some of you may have heard me speak about, you know, your salts are high. You know, what I'm saying is your body is you're consuming things. We consume things on a daily basis. You know, most of us eat every day. You know, so we're consuming things on a daily basis, and your body is breaking these things down to the very last compound, and that last compound is salt ions. Okay, mineral ions, metal ions. You know, all your minerals are metals. You know, it's clear to see when we talk about iron. You know, everybody associate iron with being a metal. You know, but when we say magnesium, some people don't know that magnesium is actually a metal. Calcium is actually a metal. You know, all your minerals are actually metals. Okay, and when you take in foods, your body breaks these things down, and what's left, the byproduct of them, is our salts or these excess minerals. And when the body's elimination channels aren't working properly, they're not getting this stuff out. They go in and they don't come out properly, and they begin to accumulate in different places throughout the body. Kind of like you see salt mines throughout the earth. You know, and when one of the places they like to accumulate is like in the joints. You know, and this is one of the things that bring about arthritis and, you know, and joint pain and inflammation and so on and so forth. Okay. You know, it's essential that we get these salts out. You know, now steam distilled water is an empty water. You know, so it has plenty of room to pick up these things and take them out the body. If you're drinking a water that's already full of salt, say tap water, it travels through metal tubes to get to your house. So at the end of the day, it's filled with metal. It's filled with minerals. You know, no matter if those minerals are lead or copper. You know, it's filled with these minerals, and then when you ingest it into your body along with the foods that you ate, and now you have this excess salts in your body, and your elimination channels aren't working properly, so they can't get them out, so your body, you know, well, you can't sit here, so it begins to store them in places. And these things cause big trouble to your health. You know, and it's really important to understand that, because if you're drinking, you say, well, I'm drinking my proper amount of water. You know, but if it's not an empty water, then it's not effectively taking these minerals out the body. And there's really only two ways that I know that you can get these excess minerals, these excess salts out of the body. And one is through drinking steam distilled water, and the other is sweating. You know, this is how you get these things out of the body. This is how you remove the obstructions, okay? Now, let's consider the water cycle. Remember we was talking about nutrients being in the air, right? Okay, so it starts off with evaporation. You know, this is y'all's distilling process, if you will. The evaporation from the plants and evaporation from the oceans, lakes, and streams. Now, what covers most of the earth? Water. And most of that water is found in very large bodies, which we call what? Oceans. Now, what type of water is in these oceans? Salt. What's another name for salt? Minerals. Exactly. You know, and now, consider the evaporation. It takes place, the evaporation of all this salt water, i.e. mineral water, evaporates into the air. You know, it goes into the clouds and makes condensation, but before that, it fills the air. The very air that we breathe. Now, everything that we eat turns into what? it breaks down into minerals or salts. Okay? But there's already minerals or salts in the air. This is the nutrients that I was speaking of when I said that there's nutrients in the air. You know, there's literally nutrients in the air. And this is what your body runs off of. These nutrients in the air, because they're so small, they don't need to be digested. They can go in and just be utilized. You know, versus the foods that you eat that need, in turn, needs to be digested and broken down until it gets to that form. Okay? And if your digestion isn't working properly, which most people's aren't, then you got problems. Okay, but here it is. We have the evaporation from the plants, you know, and the evaporation from the ocean, lakes, and streams. It goes up and condenses into the clouds, you know, and form the clouds. And then when it gets too heavy, you have precipitation, and it begins to come back down. It comes back down, and it washes over the earth, the rocks, the mountains, and the earth, and it makes its way back to the oceans. And that's how the oceans get so salty. It's because it's washing off from the earth and the rocks, which are full of minerals. You know, and it's a cycle. And that's how it goes. And that's how your body is supposed to go too. You know, but the problem with the body is it gets up here in the flesh, you know, and it doesn't run off. See, that's where it say surface run off? Well, it doesn't run off. Houston, we have a problem. And Houston does have a problem right now. You know, but that's what's going on in our bodies. Okay, now we're going to talk about food. You know, I thought this was just so creative. It's amazing what folks can do with food besides eating. All right. Proper food consumption represents 5% of your energy. Now, when we're talking about 5% of your energy, we're talking about the energy that you actually, you know, utilize to move and to go about your day. Now, one may think that if food is only 5% of our energy, then why do we need to eat food at all? The answer is because the foods that we eat make up a whopping 95% of our reserve mineral energy. You know, that is the raw material from which our cells are made and replaced. Now, this is not the type of energy our bodies usually run on. You know, our bodies usually run on the minerals from out of the air and out of the water. You know, if you add up the 56 and the 24, you know, you get a whopping 80% of your nutrients that your body run on. You know, just I'm sorry, 24% from your rest and 56% from the air that you breathe. You get 80% of your energy that your body runs on just from the air you breathe and getting the proper rest. So you see how important that is. You know, it's important if you're in a house or if you're in a building all day, you know, open a window, get some fresh air, even though it may not be as fresh as it should be. It's because of the aforementioned pollution, but it still be fresher than what's in that building that never gets any circulation. You know, so, and if you can't do that, then make a point to go out and take a walk sometime, you know, to get some fresh air into your body, into your lungs. Okay? Now, many people have a problem accepting this truth. Therefore, let's look at it from another perspective. If energy could be absorbed directly by the process of eating, then all we would have to do whenever we get tired is to eat. And the more food that we eat, the stronger we will become, thereby making sleep unnecessary. Right? But we know that's not the case. Actually, the more we eat, the more exhausted and sleepy we become. You ever notice some people eat and then next thing you know they sleep 5 minutes later or less? Any energy we experience immediately after the stimulation of our adrenals, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the term adrenals are these glands that sit atop each one of your kidneys. You know, now any energy that we experience immediately after stimulating our adrenals via sweets or from coffee, energy drinks, or the expression of strong emotions is actually utilizing our energy reserves and is in fact the expenditure of energy rather than the accumulation of energy. Now this is something really interesting. I found it to be interesting anyway. The expression of strong emotions. Did anybody catch that?
Yeah.
You know, you ever been around somebody and all they do is argue and fuss? You know, see, there could be a really good reason for that. You know, see, because some people are so sick that they're actually getting energy from all that fussing. See, because you know when you express strong emotions, what you do is you stimulate your adrenals, and it's very similar to drinking a cup of coffee or eating a gang of sugar. You know, and see, you think these people are just being argumentative just to be being argumentative, but they actually feel better after they argue. You know, so it's actually giving them energy. See, and a lot of people don't understand that, and you know, and a lot of the people, they don't know it themselves. They don't know why they do it. They just know, you know, well, after I have a good argument, I feel a lot better. you know, but that is a fact. You know, this stimulates your adrenals. You know, it's supposed to be the fight or flight syndrome. You know, so you know you experience these strong emotions, and you know, such as a car coming. You know, you're gonna have a real strong emotion behind that. You know, if it's coming for you. You know, you know, and what it's designed to do is stimulate your adrenals so you can get out the way. Don't try to fight the car, okay? You know, but that's the fight or flight process. That's a natural part of your body chemistry. You know, now when that fight or flight process is stimulated, it actually inhibits the parasympathetic nervous system. That's a part of your sympathetic nervous system. But in return, it actually inhibits the parasympathetic nervous system. And you know what part of your body the parasympathetic nervous system addresses? Digestion. You know, so after you have this argument, you fussing and fighting, you feel better, don't go and get something to eat. Because your body will not be able to digest it. Because your parasympathetic is inhibited and it controls your digestion. You know, so, you know, if you just don't drink coffee and eat. Because if you just drank a cup of coffee and now you want to eat, you just stimulated your sympathetic nervous system and killed your digestion. You know, so exactly. So you can't do that. You know, you can do it, but it wouldn't be smart. You know, so don't do that. You know, don't drink pop, which is over 90% sugar, with your meal. You're killing your digestion. You know, you think that you just got some relief because you drank that 7-Up and you got this good belch out and it relieved some of that gas. But they got a word for that. It's actually indigestion. Your food's not digested. Don't do that.
Wow.
You know, so you don't want to do these things. See, and this is why, you know, I felt it was imperative that we actually, you know, had this series, because so many of y'all sheeple don't know what they're doing improperly. They don't know what a Yah type lifestyle incurs. You know, see, and naturally, you know, when Yah created man, we naturally fell into these things. When Yah turned the lights off, everyone went to sleep. No one was trying to light a torch in the tent. You know what I'm saying? You know, that wasn't happening. You know? When Yah turned the lights off, most people went to sleep. Now today, Yah turns the lights off and we turn them back on. Yah says, lights off, clap, clap, you know? And people say, lights on, clap, clap, you know? But it's to our own demise. You know, it's to our own demise. You know, that is not conducive to good health. You know, these things, they have an effect. And even though they may be small things, they have an accumulative effect. And as, you know, okay, well, no, you may not feel it this week, you know, but 50 years down the line, you know, really, I should say 40 years down the line, you know, you're going to start feeling some of the effects of your lifestyle, guaranteed. And you're going to learn why momentarily. You know, so keep these things in mind. Now, please note that energy is always, did I miss something? I think I missed something. Okay, yeah, bitter sweets from coffee, energy drinks, or the expression of strong emotions. These things are actually utilizing our energy reserves. And it's, in fact, an expenditure of energy rather than an accumulation of energy. You know, our energy reserve, I think I'm going to talk about that next. Okay. Please note that the energy is always felt and experienced via its expenditure. Its accumulation is rarely felt, since it occurs during periods of rest, mostly during the deep sleep cycle when most people are partying. I mean, when most people not sleeping like they're supposed to be. You know, we are all born with a reserved mineral energy. Yeah, there it is. This reserved mineral energy can be viewed as a sort of a debit account. Those with good gene pools are born with an abundant mineral energy reserves, and those with poor gene pools with poor mineral energy reserves. You know, so whatever mineral energy reserve you receive, you can thank your parents and forefathers. Whenever your body is in need of rebuilding cells for a part of the body, it resorts to this mineral reserve energy account to get whatever it needs to manufacture whatever is needed. Now, it said that as long as you have something in the account, or what's needed in the account, I should say, you'll never feel any symptoms of disease. For your body will simply access the account, take what it needs to make new cells and replace the damaged ones. But seeing that we have billions of cells that needs replacing on a regular basis, how often that regular basis is depends on our age. You know, these cells need to be replaced on a regular basis, so we have to make certain that we eat the things that have the proper mineral content. You know, like we were talking about the heart needing arsenic. If what we're eating don't have any arsenic, then eventually, you know, if the body can't make arsenic out of something else, then, you know, you're going to have a problem. Okay? You know, now, how often are the cells replaced? How often are they rebuilt and replaced depends on one's age. For instance, a 20-year-old replaces every cell within their body approximately every 6 months. You know, whereas a 40-year-old every 12 months. Now, it's important to understand this because a 20-year-old, they're at their maximum potential. You know, by the time you're 20 years old, you can have 100% mineral energy reserve. But consider this. Now, say you grew up malnutrition and you didn't get everything that your body needed by the time that you were 20. Say that, you know, by the time you were 20, your mineral reserve was only 50%. That 50% mineral energy reserve now becomes your 100%. And it only dissipates from then on. Because it takes 6 months for you to replace each cell. When you're 40, it takes 12 months. So now, it takes twice as long to create the same amount of mineral energy reserve. You know, and so you're at 50% when you're 20, you're not going to live very long. You know, you're gonna live only about half of what you could have lived had your mineral energy reserve been at 100% when you were 20. You know, this is why it's important to feed the kids a well-balanced meal so that they can get all of their mineral energy reserves. You know, and then when you send them off into the world, if they want to jack it up, you know, then that's on them. you know, but you've done your job, you got them at 100%, and by the time they're 40 years old, you know, that 100%, you know, mineral energy reserve is now the same energy. It actually takes the same energy. It takes twice as much energy to get back to that 100%. And this is why after 40 years old, most people start experiencing the effects of their lifestyle. You'll see most people start experiencing symptoms of what the medical industry called disease after the age of 40. You know, depending on if they were really rough on themselves, then they can start experiencing them before the age of 40.
Yeah.
You know, but this is essentially why. And then at 60 years old, you know, it takes 18 months to replace the cells. At 80 years old, it takes 24 months, and so on. You know, and this is how, you know, life comes to an end. You know, because it gets to the point to where your body is not able to replace the cells before your time runs out. You know, and they call that dying of old age, which is, you know, not a bad way to go. You know, if you gotta go, you know, which we all have to go, that's not a bad way to go. We all want to die of old age. I mean, you know, I think that's great. You know,
Healthy, wow.
yeah, as long as you're a healthy old age. You know. Now, what do you think happens when you've exhausted all your reserved mineral energy due to constantly overstimulating your adrenals via the sweets, coffee, energy drinks, and the expression of strong emotions? What do you think happens when you've exhausted all your mineral energy reserves because you're running your body off of this emergency type energy? Not only do you break down, you break down, and that's when sickness and disease come in, and you know. But when it's totally exhausted, you die. Yeah. Yeah. Time's out. Time's up, brother. Now, with this in mind, let us consider another very important point. And this is very important. I want everybody to get this. And that is, just because you're not feeling any symptoms of disease, that is because you feel good, you can feel great, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're healthy. For it's quite possible that one can be sick and not have any symptoms. This is why you see people say, oh, they've been straight all their life, and then they went in the hospital and died. You know, or they were just telling me how great they felt, and you know, they never complained of anything, they never had any symptoms, and they just dropped dead one day. Because you don't feel any symptoms of disease does not mean that you're healthy. You know, and that's really important that one understands this. This is why it's imperative for y'all's people to repent and convert from breaking y'all's scriptural and natural laws and begin to apply these lifestyle changes regardless to how you currently feel.
Amen.
You know, I know you may feel great. I feel great. But that doesn't mean that we're completely healthy. The key to a long, healthy life in which one remains strong, active, and energetic is to make certain that we're carrying more energy than we're expending on a daily basis. In fact, the first day that you expend more energy than you took in is the first day of sickness. It doesn't matter how great you feel. The first day that you're using more energy than you're taking in is the first day of sickness in your life. You have to understand that. You know, to become efficient at this, we need to know what most depletes our energy to begin with. And the answer is that just about everything we do uses energy, but some things more than others, such as stress. And the definition for stress that I'm using is anything done with intensity. Whether it's mental or physical, anything done with intensity is stress. Now, this is most taxing. This is the thing that most taxes your energy reserves. Nothing expends energy quicker than stress. Next comes working, both mental and physical labor. Don't think just because you're not moving your hands and you're not doing nothing physical that you're not stressing. Mental stress is just as taxing as physical stress. And that's why you can't be reading the books during your rest occasion. You know, because it stimulates your mental. You know, they're very taxing. Now, the next thing that taxes your mineral energy reserves is digestion. It takes a lot of work to digest food, people. A lot of people don't realize that. It takes a lot for your body to digest food. It takes a lot of energy. And followed by elimination. Now, with some people, they use more energy with elimination than digestion. Or with stress. No, I'm just but that's not the way it's supposed to work, though. Elimination is not supposed to be that taxing. It's supposed to be a smooth move, you know. Now you can see why I'm so hard on the medical industry and the curses that they pronounce over y'all's sheep under the guise of diseases, which in turn brings about massive, often detrimental amounts of unnecessary stress. You see, when they tell someone that you have cancer, when they tell someone that you have ACL, they tell someone that you have multiple sclerosis, you know, and then they tell you behind telling you that, they tell you it's incurable and you're going to die from it. You know, this it brings on so much unnecessary stress. You know, but you can't, you know, with us believers, we have to get in our word, and we have to be encouraged by the word, and we have to, as believers, we have to encourage one another in the word, you know, letting one another know that all things are possible through Yah. No matter what man says, all things are possible through Yah. You can be healed of anything. You can be healed of the incurable. The incurable is in fact curable for Yah. You know? Yeah, and he's proved it many times in scripture that he's able to cure anything. As a matter of fact, he doesn't really cure. I take that back. He heals. See, because the word cure simply means an absence, to be absent of sickness or injury. You know, so as long as you don't feel sick and you no longer have an injury, then they consider you cured. Now, that doesn't mean that you're healed. You know, it's just an absence of symptoms. You know, so, you know, you can be sick, really sick, but still, you know, be considered cured by them. You know, but Yah heals his people, you know, which is full healing. He makes you whole. You know, and that's what we want. Now, it should be apparent that one's lifestyle would need to minimize the things which cause the most expenditure to mineral energy reserve and maximize the things which accrue mineral energy reserve to ensure that we're accruing more mineral energy reserve on a daily basis than we're using if we're to remain healthy, strong, and active. To maximize on the mineral reserve energy that we bring in daily, we need to be eating real food, you guys. Real food, along with the implementation of the aforementioned lifestyle principles that we've been going over. Now, what exactly is real food, you might ask? Well, don't ask me, ask Yah. You know, because he has the answers. According to Yah, real food is anything that comes from a seed.
Amen.
Hence, Yah said, you know, let everything that bears seed be for man's use for food. Amen?
Amen.
You know, so real food is anything that comes from a seed. And anything that comes from life, that's another way of saying the same thing. Anything that comes from life and still retains life. For you can only get life from life. This is one of the laws of nature. This is, they call it the law of biogenesis. You know, that you can only get life. Life only comes from life. Life don't come from death. Hence, real food only comes from a life-containing seed. That is herbage as well as the animals that God has declared to be clean, which also comes from a seed. Say loud. Think about it. It'll come to you. That said, why did God declare some animals clean and others unclean? When you consider the animals that God has declared clean, you'll notice that they are all herbivores. That is, they only consume life. Whereas the animals that he has declared unclean are either scavengers and or predators, and they all consume filth and or death in the form of dead animals. Stating that an animal is unclean is not to say that if these animals, these unclean animals, were brought up within a controlled environment whereby they weren't allowed to consume anything filthy or dead, that they be made clean. That's not what we're saying, you know, and that's not true. They won't be made clean. They won't be fit for consumption, for Yah has made them intrinsically unclean via their DNA. Dr. Kerry Reams has studied the effects of unclean meats, the effects that unclean meats has on the body, and has noted that the meats in which Yah has declared unclean breaks down exceptionally faster in our system than those clean meats. So fast that, in fact, they serve to release their nitrogen, which is a toxic waste product of the body, after about 2 hours. Whereas the clean animals, they didn't release their nitrogen until approximately 18 hours later. See, and it's estimated that that excess nitrogen is responsible for approximately 75% of heart attacks. Now, the other 25% is from those high salts in the body that we were speaking of shortly ago. You know, I say maybe 20%, and then the other 5% is actually a combination of the two. You know, this type of heart attack that's from nitrogen is called a pectoris heart attack. This excess nitrogen, when it's in the bloodstream, what it does is it causes the heart to beat harder. Not faster, but harder. You know, when one's heart is beating harder than it should, you know, sometimes people will say, you know, wow, I can hear my heart beating. You know, it causes them, you know, they can feel it thumping, you know, and they can even hear it, you know, beating. You know, that's how violently it beats. And oftentimes they'll have what's called chronic fatigue. They'll wake up tired. Reason being is because their heart been pounding, been working so hard, pounding all through the night that, you know, it actually tires them out. Until it gets to the point where it gets so tired, it just stops beating. And that's called a pectoris heart attack. And the reason for that is this excess nitrogen. See, this is why Yah said don't eat pork. This is why he said don't eat shellfish. You know, because these things go into the body and they release this nitrogen within our bloodstream, and they put undue weight on our hearts. You know, they cause our hearts to work much harder than they have to, than they should have to. You know, and then you add this in conjunction with the high salts, which is in the blood. You know, now here it is, you got the blood trying to carry all this excess minerals or excess metals. You know, I use the word metals because, in this case, because metals are heavy. You know, so you can picture in your mind, you know, these heavy metals trying to be washed through the bloodstream. You know, they're heavy, so it takes more pressure to get them through. Hence, high blood pressure. Get it? You know, these things is what bring about sickness and disease. You know, this here accounts for 75% of the heart attacks. So you see, the factor that causes us to become unclean by these animals is within the very makeup of the flesh of the unclean animals. So there's no getting around it. If you eat them, they will cause you to become unclean. That is because, and that is, they will become an abomination unto your flesh. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
See, because they will release the nitrogen too soon before your body can get rid of it. And people have no idea, you know. Well, you know, I used to have a buddy, he used to tell me, you know, if they made miniature pigs, I'll deep fry them whole. And that's what he used to tell me. I deep fry them whole, I eat them whole, from the Rudy to the Tootie. Strangely, after he turned 40, he was about 43, he almost had a heart attack. Went there, the doctor told him, you gotta stop eating pork. He came and found me. He came and found me, and he told me I'm not eating pork no more. I said, not you, not Mr. Rudy to the Tootie. Not the one that want to eat whole pigs whole. Folks, y'all knew what he was doing. Amen.
Right, right.
Y'all knew what he was doing. He didn't tell us that these were unclean meats because they were good for us.
Right.
He had a reason why he was saying what he was saying.
Yeah.
Don't go against the grain. You know, that's all I have for you today. We'll continue to bring it to a close next week.